Well, we begin with the latest from the Kenya National Examination Council headquarters, where the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Professor Jacob Kaimenyi, has just released the 2014 KCPE examination results. Catherine Owanto now joins us with a short brief of what happened.
The number of candidates with an aggregate of 251 marks and above was 436,814, representing 49.61% of the total candidates who took the examination. While in 2013, the number of candidates with 251 marks and above was 417,483, representing 49.71%. So it's just point something percent, just few points. What this implies, ladies and gentlemen, is that despite the increase in candidates, as I mentioned earlier on, of 5%, the 2014 KCPE examination candidates performance has remained comparable to that of last year. So during the year 2014 examination candidates, the candidates attained aggregate scores as follows. I'll not read all of them, just for you to appreciate really. Those who attained between 401 to 450 were 5,584. And that was a very small percentage. That is 0.64%. Those who attained marks of 351 to 400. Again, a very small percentage, not big, 6.32%. Those who attained between 301 and 350 marks were 15.78. Those who attained 251 to 300, 26.45%. And this is a key number now, this one, which I mentioned earlier on. So the majority of our children attained 201 to 250. That number was 28.02%. If you look at the between 201 and those who attained between 201 and 300, we are talking about 54%, which is not bad really. It's a good figure. But the rest, 151 to 200, 16.5%. 101 to 150 marks, 5.59%. Then 51 to 100, 0.69%. There are those who got less than 50. And that number, fortunately, is very small. It's 0.01%. So at this juncture, I wish to dispel the notion that NEC deducts marks from candidates in private schools. It does not happen. Please. It doesn't happen. Don't be cheated by anybody. I think we are men and women of integrity in NEC and the entire education strata. Let me address the issue of examination irregularities. Well, there are some, of course there were. During the year 2014 examination, 1,702 out of 880,486 candidates who sat for the examination, representing 0.19% of the total number of candidates who sat for the exam, were involved in one form of irregularity or another.
Also, Education Cabinet Secretary Jacob Kaimenyi insisted that even though ranking has its merits, the demerits were much, much more.
Ranking or not to rank schools and individuals with effect from 2014 national examinations. The ministry has discontinued ranking at national, county, and sub-county levels. We have critically looked at the merits and demerits of ranking. While ranking of candidates, schools and individuals, and some counties might have or does have some benefits that they offer, the demerits of ranking far outweigh the merits of the same. Listen to that. The demerits of ranking outweigh the merits of the same. So what are some of these demerits so that you can understand? Let me start with number one. One, summative examinations such as KCPE and indeed KCSE assess the product, not the process. The product and not the process. Using mean scores alone to rate learners or institutions does not give conclusive evidence of the effects of various variables. Such as what? Physical resources. Our schools don't have the same physical resources. That's a fact. The teacher-pupil ratio is not the same in all our schools. There are schools where there's a teacher-pupil ratio of 20:1. Others is maybe 60:1. Can you compare such schools? Think about it. How about instructional materials? Some schools are well endowed than others, for sure. Some even are using computers. There are some which have electricity, others don't have for the time being. Yet, we say we must compare them. All these, including school management, the impact on the performance of any school. What is the other issue? The other issues are some unscrupulous ends and proprietors of schools use unethical methods to appear in the merit list. You know what I mean? Eh? They want to be known. They are always number one. There's no harm. But the way it's done, my brothers and sisters, I can tell you it is unacceptable. You cannot think about it. In the process of trying to be number one, as an individual or as an institution, they cause untold suffering to students and their parents in the pursuit of improved performance. For instance, weak pupils are forced to repeat classes. You need only to go to national music festivals. Karuga, unajua maneno. And the pupils cry to the president and myself, please do something about being forced to repeat classes. Particularly standard 7 level. Really? Why should we force our children to repeat classes? In some cases, people are even forced to transfer from private schools to some other schools on flimsy grounds. Very flimsy. Wanatafuta reasons, eh? Alafu unatolewa jameni. As if you don't belong, in quotes. And then number 3, ranking creates unnecessary competition among schools. It is therefore not unsurprising that people engage in examination irregularities so that you can favorably compete with others, so that you can be ahead of others. Number 4, as I've already said, it is not fair, ladies and gentlemen, to compare institutions that have distinct differences in terms of resources, infrastructure, really. Comparing the uncomparable, as some people tell you. Number 5, in the wake of great demand for places in primary schools, some schools deliberately maintain small numbers. Small, 20, 15 sometimes. And imagine our small children are interviewed at pre-unit level. Oh, really? It's unbelievable. And then when you maintain these small classes, totally uneconomical to the parents who take their children there. Halafu tunaitishwa chapa too much, to keep them there. Then you are telling me that we retain this ranking. Apana, wezekani. Number 6, selection is started as abroad very early. Very early. Stress, tunainansia mapema jameni. Mzee Duda. Ni kweli? Mapema. Many schools have abandoned the non-examination subjects. Physical examination is no longer necessary. Music and the art. How do we talk about gifted children when the art and the music are not considered relevant? Tell me. All work and no play. What happens? Makes a jack, a dull boy, isn't it? Or dull girl. Do you want our children to be that dull, really? That's the issue. Number 8, ranking leads to what is called rote learning. Cramming, rearing. That's what we do every other time, which stresses memorization of facts while ignoring the concept of development of manipulative skills and attitude. When are we going to teach our children the right attitude? At some point. Thus, teaching in schools is geared towards nothing else but academic performance. As somebody has said, we are converting our children into robots. Robots. Muntu anaenda class from Monday to Monday. After weekends, some people teach on Sundays. Jameni. Hata kuomba Mungu. God-given right.
Let's now go to the coastal region where schools are also engaged in frantic efforts to collect results to gauge their performances. KTN's Francis Ontomwa is in Nyali, from where he now joins us on phone. Ontomwa, if you can hear me, how much can you tell us about the reactions there?
Hello, good afternoon, Najma. I can get you loud and clear. Yes, indeed, I'm at St. Kevin Hill School in Nyali, where we've just arrived here to piece up affairs, of course, of the release of the examinations. Najma, traditionally, this will be a day that you will associate with a lot of ecstasy and celebration, but it's quite lacking here in Mombasa, and of course, because of the scrapping off of the ranking system. We've managed to find a few students who've come here to check on their results and be able to meet the teachers here. And of course, a few who have done very well, they've talked to us and expressed their optimism and their happiness and joy here. One key thing that is coming out of this day, of course, is the question of the scrapping off of the ranking system. And according to private players here, it is a big and a huge letdown for them. They are saying that this is going to deny them the credit to hard work and the effort that they put into education. According to these private players, they're saying that there has to be a mechanism that will be able to spur the question of competition. For competition to grow, there has to be a way that will be able to separate, of course, the oranges from the apples. And of course, a few other schools that you managed to go to, like the Aga Khan Primary School, which is one of the, they say one of the best primary schools here in Mombasa. The mood is the same. It's quite dull and quite sleepy, but we expect that as the days goes on, many students and pupils, of course, will have now seen and accessed their results, and perhaps the mood will now be a little changing, Najma.
Well, maybe from the students that you've just talked about, the candidates you talked to, did they express, sadness that their names are not plastered all over the television sets, saying how good, how well they performed?
That's right, Najma. We've talked to a number of top performers here. I'm talking of students like Marvin Kimanzi, who scored 432. This student believes that he is among the best in the country, but he feels that he has been denied that, of course, the show of being on top of affairs. And also Terry Sidi, who is a 14-year-old, a lady, was scored 428 marks. The general feeling is that they should have been accorded some kind of platform to really recognize their 8 years effort in primary school. And therefore, as you've rightly put it, Najma, they are quite disappointed over the scrapping off of the ranking system.
Well, thank you very much. Francis Ontomwa there in Mombasa telling us their reactions of the no ranking system.
Welcome and many thanks for joining us on our Business Chat segment. My name is Abi Agina. Today we'll be talking to the Director General of the National Transport and Safety Authority, Francis Major, just to get his perspectives on what has been happening of late now that we are coming to the close of the festive season.
Yes.
And your authority put up quite a number of measures in place to actually deal with issues of road safety. In your own rating, how have you performed in the last month?
Well, I would say there's been an improvement, obviously. It's not where we want to be. When I look at the statistics for December, which has traditionally been known to have very high fatality rates, as at yesterday, we had a drop in fatalities by about 14%, which is slightly above the annual average. So far we are doing well, but a lot more needs to be done, because when you look at the absolute numbers, so far we've lost about actually it's quite a number, about 200 people in the month of December alone. That is still very high. Yes.
And looking at these numbers, there are quite a number of initiatives that you mentioned when it comes to issues of overspeeding,
yes,
and also just ensuring that there are speed limits. Are Kenyans following these rules?
There's been a slight improvement, and we have identified the critical areas. One of them is obviously speed. Many people are still driving above the recommended speed limits, which is a big risk. The issue of drunk driving is also there, but there's been a significant improvement on that one. Their levels of awareness are very high. The other issue is the issue of fatigue, which we have witnessed, and this particularly affects the commercial vehicles. And most of the fatalities that we've seen of late, commercial vehicles are involved. The last one is yesterday, where a truck rammed into a matatu and 7 people died on the spot. So this is an area we will be focusing on going forward, because we feel strongly that it is high time that regulations around this sector be enhanced.
And also in connection to that, the issue of the speed guns, we've not seen much of them being used. Is it that there is a shortage, or what are the plans moving forward to equip the policemen and the people manning the roads with these gadgets?
We've actually have quite in terms of tools. There is an improvement, and we are working jointly with the traffic police so that we use the resources that are available in the most optimal way. And we've used these equipments, particularly speed guns, to detect motorists who are moving very high. And the numbers that we are getting are very high on a daily basis. They are not enough, but we've made the arrangements, and we are actually in the process of procuring additional equipments so that each and every police officer, possibly on the road, will have a speed gun to be able to detect speed, because speed has been identified as one of the most serious actually attributes to the fatalities on our road.
A month or two before, you mentioned that there's been a drop, especially in drunk driving, and we saw the issue of the breathalyzers coming on board. So far, how would you rate this? And also in connection to that, looking at the incidents that we are seeing of accidents, are we also seeing a drop or a rise, especially when it comes to drunk driving, noting very well that we're in the festive month?
Obviously, the levels of awareness has been very significant, and all the friends we meet, no one today can comfortably drink and drive, unlike there before. And from the reaction we've been having, we used to get stories like during those days when we used to drink and we didn't care what will happen, are long gone. Everybody now is aware that you can't drink and drive because you don't know at what point you will be checked. I think the point is we must sustain this program throughout the coming years, and until people know that it is not possible for you to drink and drive.
two last questions as we wind up. One of the issues that is coming up is that along the highways, we still have the 50 kph speed limit. And ordinarily, most of the motorists would experience it along the major built-up areas. But the signage is actually being put also on the highways. Is it right in the sense that it is a highway and there's this speed limit? Because it leaves motorists in a fix because they're trying to balance the speed as well as the kind of road they're driving in. And lastly, what are your next initiatives into the next year?
I think the most important point is that you must observe road signage. Wherever you see a signage that is restricting you in terms of speed, you are bound to respect that signage. The reason is for good reason. It's with good intention, because maybe you are new to a road, you don't know how the general area of the place is, so you must be guided by road signage. Road signage in terms of limiting speeds in urban areas is a common practice all over the world, that in build-up areas, motorists are not allowed to move in very high speeds. It is even worse in our country, where people cross the road, not necessarily using the designated points. So the risk of being killed on the road are very high. And actually 46% of our total fatalities are attributed to pedestrians who are knocked down by motorists, speeding motorists. By reducing speed, we'll be saving very, very many lives of innocent citizens. Going forward, I think we must sustain these programs. And the publicity and awareness campaign must be sustained throughout the year. Surveillance and enforcement needs to be throughout the year. And if we can maintain that momentum that we have already set, I believe these fatalities will significantly come down.
Thank you for making time to be with us. Well, we've been speaking to Francis Major, the Director General of the NTSA, who says they will forge on with the initiatives they have. We now cross over to Najma Ismail for more news.
Well, thank you very much, Abby Agina there. Now, the very last episode for 2014 political satire, Mock the Year, will air on the 31st, and it promises to be a cracker just like the year has been. Here's a sneak preview of what to expect on Mock the Year.
Welcome to the very last episode of Mock the Week this year. It's time to mock the year.
Niliongea na Uhuru Kenyatta. Nilimwambia mimi naenda nje kwa muda mrefu. Naenda kuwa balozi wa Kenya kule nje.
Why haven't I done this? Especially since, thanks to Robert Alai, I now have the president's number. Hold on, it's just 7. All right. Yes, Mr. President. My name is Wilson Bro from... This year our MCA stamped the phrase, you can dress a goat in a suit, but, well, it's still a goat.
Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga clearly hadn't seen the president's comments on security when he went on a tour of the coast.
Ulinzi unaanza na wewe.
Let's talk about chemistry. Did you know it can make you a bucket load of money? But you know who else really tried to be president this year? William S. Ruto. Remember him?
I'm really sorry. So
we are getting into the new year, you know, new year, new things, and we want to show you the new way of taking presidential selfies.
Well, thank you very much for watching KTN Newsdesk this afternoon. My name is Najma Ismail. Mock the Year as on the 31st, and you cannot afford to miss it.